Hello everyone, welcome to creating my summer collection. I'm so excited for this collection. If you watched my last video, then I bought more fabrics than I was intending. There's just so many cute ones and I can't resist. I have no self-control when it comes to fabric buying. So I'm gonna be taking you along the process of creating a brand new sewn collection, and the first steps are deciding what theme or direction I wanna go with, and then the next step, which is one of my favorite parts of the entire process, shopping for the fabric, which I did film. So let's rewind to last weekend to my local fabric shop. So when I first walked in, I still wasn't sure which direction I was going in, but then I saw this fabric and immediately decided to do a garden meadows theme. And here I'm trying to decide which inner fabric to use with the ladybug. I typically stick with the same designer when picking out my outer and matching inner fabrics. Sometimes I'll use ginghams and other fabrics that match, but typically I stick within the same collection. And I just adore all of the animal fabrics, but here are the fabrics I picked up for my new collection. Okay, as you can see, I had no self-control, especially when it comes to like spring and summer designs. I just really love floral designs. So let's go ahead and get to cutting these out. I'm gonna focus on creating one of each small book sleeve. That way we can all see how the final product's going to look. So the way I cut my fabrics is I go ahead and roll it out, and then I cut in 11 inches to make sure I have enough room for any errors. So you'll see kind of my entire process on what we're gonna do here, but let's go ahead and start cutting all of the small book sleeves. Of course, I will show you all every single book sleeve at the end. So if you want to see all of the designs I'm going to be launching, stay tuned for that. Another thing that I usually do for my collections is I launch every fabric in the book sleeve, and then when it comes to pencil cases or the other product I'm launching, I only launch them in like what I believe is going to be the most popular designs, or if I have a fabric that's really like the main fabric of the collection, of course I'll launch it in that. For example, for my spring collection, of course I launched every fabric on a book sleeve, and then for the pencil cases I only launched it in the top 5 fabrics. So at the time I had filmed, I think, like my fabric showing video, and then I asked you all what your favorites were, and then I took those and launched those on the pencil cases. So I feel like I have a fairly good idea of what is going to be the most popular. Like for this collection, give you a little kind of sneak peek on what we're going to be making today. I'm definitely going to be launching the products in this one. I think this, I actually got 2 that are very similar. Let me show you. I could not decide between these 2. They were in the same collection, so they have the same colorways, but I just really loved both of these. And I'm actually leaning towards these kind of being the main fabrics of the collection. So these will be called like whatever I make the collection name. So if I decide to go with Summer Meadows, that's probably what I will call one of these. but I loved these and I felt like you would all really love these too based on my previous collections. So very excited for all of the fabrics that I picked out. I'll tell you, one of my biggest issues is I have a tendency to procrastinate a little bit, especially when it comes to launching new collections. And then for every collection, I tell myself, oh, I'm gonna be extra prepared for the next one. I'm gonna make everything like weeks ahead of time. And then here we are. This collection launches next weekend, which is actually a little bit better than usual. Sometimes I start making everything the weekend before. I had to clip my hair back or it will drive me crazy while sewing. But all of the fabrics for the small book sleeves are cut. Let's break out my batting. Luckily, I already have kind of a small piece cut, so I don't have to wrestle with the big giant roll. So let's go ahead and roll this out. I can at least get a few cut with this. You know what would be really cool is to have a giant craft room with like big rollers on the wall, and I could just have this on one of those big giant rollers. I think her channel is Matchy Life Australia. She has a big warehouse and she has her fabric and batting on these giant rolls. I just think that would be so cool and convenient. And I'm just gonna take one of the fabric pieces, lay it on top. Because the batting is folded, it will cut the two that I need. First one, and I always cut just a little extra. I like to give myself like a little wiggle room on everything, on my fabric, on my batting, in case I veer off or anything happens. I have that extra like safety net. Okay, all of the batting is cut. Now it's time to match up the outer fabrics. And then what I'll do is take it to my sewing machine and just sew right along the edge just to attach the two pieces together, and then we'll trim off the batting. Okay, scratch that. I want to iron out all of these pieces again. So I am going to go ahead and separate the outer fabrics and the pocket. You may have seen in my fabric shopping video, I was debating on what to do for the inside fabric on the ladybug, and I just thought this one was really pretty. I love the kind of subtle floral aspect, but still busy enough to be a fun inside fabric. Okay, I need to cut 2 additional pocket pieces. I need another one of these to go with this fabric. And then I also need to cut a pocket for this one because I cut the first one too short. So let me do that first before I put the cutting mat away, because I don't want to have to go back and forth. So I'm going to go ahead and just move these to the side. Probably should have got an extra yard of this inside fabric because I'm using it on 2 different outside fabrics. I'm hoping I'm going to have enough. I ended up buying 2 yards of every single fabric to hopefully have enough for the book sleeves, pencil cases, wallets, and wristlets. So this potentially may still be kind of a limited collection, limited in the sense of the actual products, like amount of products offered, not so much the fabric designs, but I think 8 really isn't that crazy to begin with. I have had a few questions on how many yards of fabric I typically buy for a collection, and normally I do stick with 2, maybe 3 if it's a fabric I really, really like and I think I'm going to keep it more long term. For example, I did do that with my cat fabrics, and I think I did it. Yeah, I bought a lot of the Mayflowers and a Lavender Picnic. I just love those. You all seem to love those as well. So I just wanted to make sure I had a ton left over because I think I may keep those on my shop like full time, like year round. I think it would be nice to have certain designs always available for you all to shop. I've also been debating on doing more like mini collections throughout the year. Instead of just doing the like big 5 collections, so the Valentine's, the spring, the summer, the fall, and the Christmas, we'll add in a couple kind of here and there of mini collections. I think that could be really fun. And then maybe do those a little more like unique themes or just kind of fun additional ones to fit the season. As I mentioned, I cut 11 down from the end, which gives me a little wiggle room, but also limited scraps. I don't like having too many of these little scraps, but then the larger scraps, like these ones here and even these little strips, I will save for future products because I could definitely do some tiny wallets. These could be potential like little miniature pools, all kinds of different things I can do with scraps. And if you watched last week's video, you know I have baskets full of scraps. So very soon I need to do a turning scraps into products. I'm finally down to the last outer fabric with the batting. Then I'll go ahead and trim off all the batting. We'll work on the pockets and then attach the 2 outer pieces. And someone is extra snuggled. I'm glad I went ahead and got both of these fabrics in this collection. I just love it. It's so pretty. It is kind of giving a little more spring than summer, but I feel like it really just fits both. And you all seem to really love the floral designs as well. So I'm really excited for this collection. You know what I could do? I could break out my smaller cutting mat. Let's maybe try that instead. That's just gonna be way quicker. I'll be honest, I have not been brainstorming name ideas while I've been doing this. And that's the thing with sewing, is I kind of feel like this is a brain off activity, as long as I'm not doing something brand new that I've never done before. But I've made so many book sleeves that I kind of just like get in the rhythm and the flow of making it that I'm not thinking about potential names for each product. I'm leaning towards calling the entire collection Summer Meadows. I was gonna do Midsummer Meadow, which I like the like first letter being the same with that, but this collection is not launching midsummer. It's not even launching in official summer. So I'm kind of thinking that I'll just do Summer Meadow or Into the Garden, something like that. There was another name that I really liked and wanted to use, but another fellow small business owner is using it for her May collection, so I didn't want to do the same thing. I definitely don't think we're going to get to everything today, so I will have to go ahead and do some more sewing tomorrow. All right, final one. That definitely took less time than using the scissors. I mentioned in a couple videos back that a lot of the times I make things harder on myself, and I really need to continue working smarter, not harder. Okay, so I need to go ahead and do my label on each pocket. Pockets are done, so let's start putting together the book sleeves. So I just start with one of the outer pieces. I lay that flat, and a little extra thing that I'll do is I'll take this ruler that I use for my labels just to make sure the pocket is lined up as perfect as I can get it. But yeah, that fabric shop is dangerous for my wallet. I could spend hours in there. I need to do a little research and see what other local fabrics are around my area and see what they have. I've had a lot of questions on where I get my fabric, so it will either be that fabric store, Hobby Lobby, or Etsy. You can actually find some of these same fabrics on Etsy, and there are so many really great stores. One of my favorite ones that I shop with is Cute Little Fabric Shop. You do have to be kind of careful when shopping on Etsy and just make sure you are buying from reputable shops. So something that I did before I ordered from this shop is I actually looked on the designer's website. So take Riley Blake, for example. You can go to that website, like the designer's website, and look underneath like where our fabrics are offered or like how to buy our fabrics, and you can usually find the Etsy shop on that list. Or even better, shop in person at your local fabric stores, because then you can really see the fabric, you can touch it, and see how it feels, what the colors look like in person. But I'm gonna finish this up, and then we will sew all of these pieces together and then get started on the inner fabric. So here are all of the book sleeve designs here. Of course, I will show you a close-up of every single product at the very end, but I'm kind of thinking the butterfly and ladybug are going to be maybe the most popular, potentially. It's really hard to decide because everyone likes different things, but I think for now, I'm just gonna do a pencil case and wallet in these two fabrics, and then you all can let me know and we'll kind of get a poll going on which one is the most popular. Then I can just make sure I have all the products offered in that fabric. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut both the fabric for the pencil case and the wallet now. That way I won't have to go back and break out the cutting mat again. We could just go straight into ironing and then get to sewing. Okay, I got the pencil case and wallet fabrics cut. So I'm gonna go ahead and break out my iron and get these ironed out, and also iron on the interfacing to give it structure. So I feel like every time I'm ironing, I have this like theme reoccurring thing that I talk about the books I've recently read or TV shows and movies I've watched. So I recently finished Frida McFadden's The Boyfriend. I was really in the mood for a thriller, and that one is a great page turner. There were a few things that I did not like, so I rated it 3.5 star. So that is, crazy enough, the only book I finished for the entire month of May. Unfortunately, I spent the first like 3 weeks trying to finish The Raven Scholar, which is really sad because I wanted to love that one. It was just really slow, and I think I just wasn't in the mood for a slower paced fantasy. So it took me 3 weeks to get to 30%, which means I should have DNF'd it a lot sooner. Than I would have read a lot more books for the month of May. But I was buddy reading it with my mom, so I was really trying to get through it, but I just never felt like picking it up. So I think for now, I'm going to kind of soft DNF it and potentially pick it up again at a later date. So yeah, unfortunately, that was a DNF. So then I picked up Boyfriend, and I read that one in a day. I feel like thriller is such a great genre to read if you are in a major book slump, because most of the time, if you get a decent one, they are quick page turners. You can just fly through them. It did kind of get me in the mood to read more. So I started the full cast audiobook for Half-Blood Prince, and I also think I'm going to start the physical book for The Other Bennett Sister, which I believe is a historical romance following one of the sisters of Elizabeth Bennet from Pride and Prejudice. I've heard a lot of great things about it. There is currently a show on that, so I wanted to read the book before I try watching the show. Then when it comes to movies and TV shows, we watched Project Hail Mary not too long ago. I never read the book. I do kind of wish that I read the book before watching the movie, but yeah, I thought that one was okay. It definitely got better towards the like halfway point in the end. And then what else did we recently watch? I think that's it for newer movies. So let me know what you're reading or have recently watched. I always love your recommendations or what you're currently loving. And we are really big time TV show and movie people. But I'm gonna go ahead and finish up cutting out all of the interfacing, get these ironed on. All the interfacing is ironed on. It's time to quilt each one, and then I will attach my logo and we'll get to adding the zippers. I just fold it in half to create a center line. That way I know where to start. And then I will attach this quilting bar, which helps so much in creating straight and even lines. So I highly recommend getting a quilting bar if your machine allows you to use it. With my machine, the XR3774, it is a sewing / quilting machine, so it just came with the quilting bar. So for the wallets, I don't quilt like the very last section here because all of this is going to get sewn onto the other pieces. So it'll be like that anyways. And I feel like when I do a quilt line here and then it's folded there, it's too close to the edge and doesn't look quite as even and nice in my opinion. So I like to just do the middle section and then my logo will go here and it'll be ready to attach all of the layers. So another great thing about creating that center line, like that center quilt, is it makes it really easy to line up the logo. Okay, I'm gonna take all of these back to my sewing machine and sew around my label. Let's do the zipper on the pencil cases first, because on the pencil case, I'll have to do the zipper tab and pull. I'm gonna go ahead and clip the zipper on this outer piece first. Then we'll take the inside fabric over here and clip that right on top. Then I'll take it to my sewing machine, switch my foot out to my zipper foot, and sew right along the zipper teeth all the way down. I just took it to my iron and flattened right here because we're gonna do a nice little top stitch all the way down the outer piece. All right, now time to layer all of the other pieces. So I take my other outside fabric, lay that front side facing, lining up to the top of the zipper. Something that's really nice about these pencil cases is I can sew all of these pieces on and then do the zipper pull. I will have all the tutorials that I initially watched to learn how to make these products linked down below. So I just pull the zipper teeth apart and then line it up. And there is a tool that you can use to help you put your zipper pulls on, but I just line it up. Sometimes it takes a couple tries to get it. Sometimes get it the first try. Okay, I need to prep my zipper pulls, but I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing to the butterfly pencil case. Then I'll be ready to cut out the fabrics for the zipper pulls. All of my little pieces are sewn, so it's time to actually cut. And I love making the zipper pulls or the little loop to match the inside fabric. I feel like it creates a nice contrast and you kind of have like a little sneak peek of what's on the inside. So I love doing it that way. Those are all done. I think this might be my favorite, and that's a big reason why I could not decide between this butterfly one and then the other one I got in the same collection. But I have a feeling this one's gonna be really popular. It's so pretty. I love the colors. Okay, we take the zipper pull, go ahead and fold it in half, and then I just line it up to the edge. And then I will actually take this to my sewing machine and go ahead and sew that on before like folding and sewing the edges. That way it stays in place. When I first started doing these pencil cases, I found that this moved around a lot. So this just kind of gives me a peace of mind that it will stay where I want it. I also feel like a lot of you will love this ladybug fabric. At least I hope you do. And hopefully you all like that I went with the yellow instead of doing the ivory one again. I may do something with the ivory. I know I'm gonna keep the wristlets up, but I just wanted to keep it a little bit different since I am launching the same pattern again. At least it will be in a different color. All right, I'm gonna take it to my sewing machine and sew right along the edge, just attaching the zipper pulls. I'm just gonna go ahead and finish up the pencil cases. That way I don't have to keep going back and forth between these and the wallets. And I've made these quite a lot, so I can just knock them out real quick. now time for the hardest part of creating a pencil case, and that is lining up these corners. Sometimes you kind of have to wrestle with it, but there's so many different ways that you can make boxed pouches, but even though this way is probably maybe one of the more difficult ways to do it, I feel like it turns out really nice because then you don't have any like open seams on the inside. You don't have to use bias tape. Sometimes you'll find once you're done doing this and you turn it right side out that you may have a couple open seams. So then you just have to go back, wrong side out, sew it again, and then just make sure you got all of the seams on the corners. But I'm gonna go ahead and sew along here, then do this to all of the box corners and the same thing to the Ladybug pencil case. And it will start looking pretty funky if you end up doing it this way. Kind of just start looking like a whole fabric blob. But once you pull it out, it all comes together. So this is definitely kind of a trust the process way of doing the box corners. Okay, moment of truth. Let's pull it out. See if I got everything. Very cute. I love this fabric so much. I still have to close the inside, of course, but how pretty are those colors? I also love the rose gold zipper with that fabric. But there's our first pencil case down, and I absolutely love it. So cute. Okay. I hope you all love these as much as I do. I think they're so cute. I love the colors, the design. Absolutely obsessed. So let's go ahead and finish up the wallets. Okay, I'm gonna cut it just a little bit longer than it needs to be, so I have a little wiggle room. Okay, I just sewed that on. Then we want to, I'm gonna iron it out. So unfortunately, I'm really just not happy with the overall result of the wallet. So I think I'm going to make the decision to not launch these quite yet. I want to play around with them more and just really perfect them before I launch them. But we will be launching all of these book sleeves and these two pencil cases. So it's definitely still kind of leaning more towards a mini collection since I'm just doing 7 book sleeve designs and 2 new pencil cases. So this will be what's launching. Let me show you a close-up of each design. So here's everything launching on May 30th at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Of course, I'm a little bit bummed that I'm not doing the wallets, but I just don't want to release something I'm not happy with. But I have 7 book sleeves and 2 new pencil cases, and I absolutely love these designs. I hope you love them as much as I do. So let me know in the comments which one's your favorite. I hope you enjoyed watching me sew all of these products, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Bye!